biggest challenge for your 6-2, 5 straight New England Patriots, ain't it great, comes in the form of the very unpredictable, inconsistent, and mercurial Dirty Birds all the way down in the ATL. Michael Penix, Drake London, Bijan Robinson. Will they be a test for the New England Patriots defense before the trade deadline? And can Drake May keep his hot streak going and run the Patriots to a winning record at home? Fitzy and Mego here with your Patriots Falcons preview. And then we go behind enemy lines with Mike Johnson from the morning show at 92.9, The Game in Atlanta. That sounds like a recipe for a great Six Rings preview podcast on All Hallows Eve. Here we go.
Hey, whatever it takes, man. It's all about winning, all right? Winning on 3. 1, 2, 3, win!
Celebrating the heroes of Foxborough's past.
And with a good block. Look at Grover. All the way. Watch the block of number 73, John Hanna.
The champions of the dynastic era.
Adam Vinatieri booms a 48-yard field goal, and the Patriots are Super Bowl champions.
The Patriots of tomorrow.
We're going to remove entitlement from our football team. We're going to earn the right to be here every single day.
And the fans whose faith never wavers.
Let's go!
This is Six Rings and Football Things.
All good?
Anything you want me to echo?
Nope. We're good.
We going.
Gotta keep playing. I know.
Going.
We had one bad run in the red area, and then we missed the 1 3rd and 1. No, I'm not getting discouraged about any of that stuff. You know what I mean? We're all good. We're all good.
All right.
We're all good.
Check it out.
Yes, sir.
That is probably the last time that you will see Stephon Diggs mic'd up for NFL Films and the New England Patriots, because he gave great stuff during last week's big home win against the Cleveland Browns, 32-13, your final score. Diggs said this week that he's not talking to Josh during the games anymore because he didn't know he was wearing a mic, and gave up lots of good stuff. But that right there just shows you the kind of chemistry, the camaraderie, and the big V word that we continue to throw around so often on the radio and in Pats Nation these days, the vibes, the communication, everything is rolling these days for your New England Patriots. Happy to have you guys here for the Six Rings and Football Things preview of Falcons at Patriots. We got Mego at Megan_Onolini alongside your old pal Fitzy here. And Mego, I got to say, like, it's almost like I got to ask first question. Have we reached peak Drake May praise? Because I don't know if, save for Scott Kashmir of Football Outsiders, if there is literally anyone on planet Earth right now that isn't riding first class on the Drake May hype train.
I think Cam Newton's not on it.
Is he like legitimately not on it, or is he just doing that for the sake of television?
I think he's just trying to be like an entertainer with that. You know, I think he's trying to play the heel, to use the wrestling parlance that has infected the way we talk about everything.
Yep.
But I think that's Cam Newton's track. For me personally, I said last week that if Drake had a huge day against the Browns defense, number 1 defense going into week 8 in multiple categories, and of course with Myles Garrett, that I would shut up about having some reservations about Drake. And so I'm sticking to that. I shut up about that. I shut up about it. Like he's totally for real right now. And I don't know that he'll continue with these 100 plus passer ratings every week for the rest of the season. But given the way that the schedule was built, we all knew it was going to be a friendly schedule for the Patriots, and he's more than taking care of business.
Yeah, I think the title of the article that you wrote last week following the Patriots' 19-point win over the Browns at Gillette was, with dismissal or beatdown of Browns, Drake May becomes undeniable.
Yeah.
You know, we're all steering into that hole. He is inevitable. He's better than we thought. He's 19 games into his career. He started 19 games. And he is now top 5 quarterback on everyone's list currently playing in the NFL. He's a legitimate MVP candidate. Beyond legitimate MVP candidate, Mego, people are taking up broadcast airwave times, prime time now, like Dan Orlovsky, to shout from the mountaintops that, like, he's legitimately it.
Jonathan's having an outstanding season. There's nothing that I can say in a negative fashion about him. The MVP of the NFL right now is Drake May. when it comes to the value that you are providing, giving just back to last year, given what's around you.
What'd it take?
Okay, so Drake May, one, Steph's coming off an ACL. So, two, Kayshon Bouttie's their number 2 receiver. He wasn't this highly drafted wide receiver.
True.
He's got 2 tight ends that are certainly longer in their careers than they are younger.
And it just goes on and on and on. Just nothing but love for Drake May these days. And it's crazy. Like, we asked so many different people, from Adam Schefter to Brian Hoyer, Tom Curran, top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL, and Drake May is up there. But I think this week, even though, tell me if you think I'm crazy. It's a very easy question. And it's a very obvious answer. But with the Atlanta Falcons coming to town, it is such an easy look past game. We've already thrown, don't let it be a letdown game. Don't let it be a trap game. I'm not saying that. I just think a lot of people are looking past this game and then toward the Buccaneers game because, oh, well, the Falcons lost 34-10 last week at home. Yeah, that was with Kirky 2 Chainz, who is absolutely fried, toasted, and done. And Bijan was all they had. Drake London didn't play. Whereas now Drake London's going to play. Bijan Robinson, Michael Penix likely to play. The Falcons need to get their season back on track. They need this game much more than the Patriots do for the postseason or to get things rolling again. And they also have their defense. They're number 1 against the pass. You can run on them, but overall, in terms of yardage allowed per game, they're second in the NFL. So do we think maybe this will be a tougher test than the Browns?
It's a good question. I would say, to answer the first part about whether this is a game that the Patriots could possibly look past, being around that locker room and talking to these guys, I honestly don't think they're built that way. And maybe that comes from Mike Vrabel. Maybe that comes from the older guys in the room. I also think, at least offensively, but certainly for some of the guys in the pass rush, there's this nice combination of the success that they're having as a whole and knowing that there are still opportunities for them individually to get theirs week to week. You think of guys like Pop Douglas, who have had touchdowns taken back, but had touchdowns. Steph Diggs got his first touchdown last week. Somebody who has really been battling for that number 1 receiver role in a great way with Kayshon Boutte. It's kind of like any week can be your turn individually. And I think that it may be from an individual perspective, that's an extra motivation. Just, I don't think it's like a selfish point of view, because I think they're willing to give the turn to anyone else if it's going to help the team win. But I think it's a little bit of a different way that the team kind of naturally carries themselves and talking to them in the way that they approach the games. And as you've seen with guys running down the sideline during a big play, like very excited for one another. But in terms of the actual football aspect of it, yeah, I mean, this is great passing defense. It's going to be another tough challenge for Drake May. But the biggest takeaway for me from that last game against the Browns was they threw everything and the kitchen sink at Drake in the first half, and he was on his butt a lot.
It was Red Sox 9, Guardians 7. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
and he came out and had a 158 passer rating in the second half.
It literally rained touchdowns on the Browns in the third quarter. It was they scored 3 touchdowns.
And I love this stat, little historical stat from NFL media, Brooks Sorsamino. I'm sorry, I might be butchering that name,
It's
but
the first thing I check every morning.
okay, you're gonna love this stat really quick.
Love a good stat.
In the 4 regular season matchups in week 9 or later since 1970 between the NFL's leader in completion percentage and passer rating, so that would be Drake May, and the number 1 pass defense entering that week, which is the Falcons, the quarterback won every time.
Wow,
Isn't that cool?
That is a statarino from Sorsamino right there.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. Use that on afternoons, because I think that's kind of context that's interesting, because so often we think as the season goes on, okay, you got to get the ground game going, especially in New England. You gotta be a weather tested team and have all these multiple looks. But
it's going to be another.
League.
It's going to be another crispy leaves, autumn in New England type of day on Sunday as well. Also, everyone, don't forget to set your clocks. You got to fall back on Saturday night so you get an extra hour of sleep, but it'll be pitch black by 4 o'clock. So get your raking in during halftime or before kickoff 1 o'clock from the Razor on Sunday. 2 other things I want to get to before Mike Johnson from 92.9 The Game in Atlanta joins us. And this is great because he's a morning show host down there and also played for the Atlanta Falcons. So he love him some Dirty Birds. 1, the running back situation this week. we're recording this Friday morning, and I'm just going to go ahead and guess Ramondre's not playing. So that's going to leave you with Travion Henderson and recently acquired or just freshly signed Dearness Johnson.
And Terrell Jennings.
And Terrell Jennings, right? I can't forget my practice squad guy.
Well, he
Jennings.
got signed to the active.
Ooh, did he really? He bona fide. All right, there we go. So you've got the rookie who finally started breaking outish last week till he coughed it up at the goal line. You've got an NFL veteran. You could call him a Jag. He literally played for the Jaguars. He's had one carry for no yards this year. That was with the Cardinals. And then you've got Terrell Jennings. You can run on the Falcons. So is this trio good enough to be leaned on with the offensive line to try to hold the ball long enough to keep it away from the dangerous Bijan Robinson? And nota bene, no running back has got 50 yards or more against the Patriots this year.
I think maybe they can do it for a game. What interests me is then they also sign, as you mentioned, Dearness Johnson, but 3 practice squad running backs. And I just don't really get what they're doing with the running back room, because I asked Josh McDaniels about it yesterday. I feel like it's such a clear area of like serious need. And there are so many names who are depth pieces behind bona fide number 1 running backs, bell cow, running backs that you could go out and get ahead of this trade deadline. But they seem to be standing pat with the decisions that they have recently made. I started off a column on WEI today with quoting, the ever relevant, very timely 2001 Mugatu from Zoolander saying, "I feel like I'm taking crazy pills."
That's one of my favorite lines.
I don't really,
because right now Drake May, if we're gonna go Zoolander, he's hotter than Hansel.
Yeah, because I don't really get that approach, but because they have enough money, they have enough cap space to get an edge rusher, to get cornerback depth, and to get one of these running backs, but it just doesn't. It seems like they like what they have, so that's surprising to me. But maybe we'll get a trade before Tuesday.
Okay, so now to play around the rumor mill a little bit. I heard a couple days ago, and now Albert Breer has released that the Patriots are in fact looking for safety depth. And Minkah Fitzpatrick of the Miami Dolphins could very well be the target. It would make a ton of sense. They're going nowhere. They got smoked last night by the Ravens, who definitely are going to win the AFC North now. It's amazing that they were 2-5 at one point, and now they're the odds-on favorite to win their division. Shows you what a mess that place is.
Yeah, that division stinks. So
it does. So Minkah Fitzpatrick is a depth safety that they are looking at as well, and there are a bunch of running backs that they're looking into. You could maybe I supposedly they've looked into Chuba Hubbard, but maybe also Rico Dowdle, who's been a revelation coming over from Dallas, playing for Carolina. They're going nowhere fast. Could be Alvin Kamara. Breece Hall would be the tippity top.
I would take out those last 2 names. I think it would be really hard for the Jets to move Breece Hall to the Patriots.
But he's like, this is the end of his contract.
I know,
Yeah,
but it's
because
still,
he's a free agent. That's why it's like
still that old thing. Alvin Kamara said that if he gets traded, he's going to drink a pina colada somewhere. He will not play.
He doesn't want to play up north where it's freezing cold.
He doesn't want to play anywhere besides New Orleans.
Okay, that makes
sense.
We'll
see.
So before we focus our attention on the Falcons, what is your trade priority rundown? Like we've talked about it on the afternoons. Everyone has a different pecking order or priority list. Is it a depth tackle? Is it a defensive end, cornerback, safety, running back? What do you got?
Yeah, for me, it definitely goes running back and defensive end. I mean, like I said before, they have a bunch of bodies in the running back room, and I don't want to be disrespectful because it's great for someone like Terrell Jennings to work his way up to the 53-man roster. It's just hard when he's had 7 carries for 33 yards, and suddenly you might need him in Trevion Henderson's spot and to have Trevion up in Ramondre's spot. It's just it when you really need that support for the passing game, I think that should be the priority. And then with the defensive end, it's just clear your pass rush needs help. It's all about, like, it's not like you have these desperate areas of need. It's just the stakes are suddenly very high at this trade deadline where you need to bolster some of these areas.
Yeah, they are it's funny because it looks like they need to increase their pass rush because they generated a lot of sacks in the first couple of games when they blitzed more, but They're the only team in the NFL that has 4 players with 25 or more pressures. Coming from Barmore, Williams, Harold Landry, and Clavin Chasen. So you've got a pass rush. It's just not dominant. It's but then again, what team does? My priority would be, I love the idea of getting a depth cornerback or safety. So Minkah Fitzpatrick would be incredible if in fact he's available, and you don't have to mortgage the future. And while you're talking to the Dolphins, see if Jalen Phillips is available too, because why wouldn't you want, you're not going to mortgage the future for Max Crosby. It's going to cost a fortune, even if he is a free agent at the end of the year, for Trey Hendrickson, as good as he would look in a Patriots uniform.
Okay, if you could actually get Trey Hendrickson, you have to go get Trey Hendrickson. It's just a matter of if there is actually a deal to, in this world, be made there. Like that's a totally different conversation. I just don't think that situation's going to arise for them. I think a lot of these are going to be pieces like a running back like Jerome Ford, or a corner like Cam Taylor-Britt. Like when we're talking about depth pieces, these are not natural starters, right? You need help, you need support. You're not changing the entire.
So to quote the kids, that we're going to be looking at a lot of 6'7s in the trade market coming up.
I still don't know what that means. It's like I don't.
It's just very. You know what? It's the new mid. Like instead of I think it is, and this is a boomer talk. We need a sponsor for this segment of the Six Rings podcast.
I thought it was when my generation used to just shout Mike Jones, the rapper, for no reason, because it was like a funny thing.
No kidding.
I don't know.
I don't know. It'll be an interesting trade deadline. And like Schefter told us this week, he thinks it's going to you won't see very much more until after Sunday. And if let's say the Bengals gets, spanked, I forget who they're playing. The Bears, they're a 2.5-point dog at home. If they get smoked by the Bears, Hendrickson could get them a third or a second round pick, which they'll obviously need to do some rebuilding. And we can talk about that on Monday after this big Pats Falcons game. Is it going to be Super Bowl 51 revenge after all? Will there be tricks, treats? Is it going to be a spooktacular affair for one of the teams? Let's find out now. We are pleased to be joined by former Atlanta Falcons player and current 92.9 The Game morning show host in the ATL. Ladies and gentle fans, Mike Johnson is in the house. What's up, big guy?
Hey, man. What's going on, guys?
How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Hey, we're licking our wounds down here. A couple bad games in a row for the Falcons, but, it is what it is. You guys have been there before. Just regroup, move on to the next week, hopefully.
Can you please explain to me, no better perspective than somebody who played for the team, who likes the team, who follows the team every day, to just relay how maddening is this team? On pay, I picked them to win the South. I didn't think the Bucs would be as good as they are, but now they've taken on a lot of water in the form of injuries while Baker's having an MVP caliber season. I love Penix. I was just as hype on him as I was Drake May. Drake London's a real deal Holyfield receiver. Bijan's top 5 running back, and you have a good defense. Yet you lose by 24 at home to the Dolphins. That's just it's got to be frustrating.
I mean, I can't even put it into words. It's so maddening. You feel like you're just one step behind the entire way. And I think, look, for me, when Raheem was hired, obviously you guys know the cycle. Vrabel was out there. Belichick's out there. There's other guys out there that are part of the cycle, and you go to Raheem Morris, who we actually know very well here in the NFC South. He coached when I was playing in the NFC South. And the one thing you would say about Raheem is, he's a vibes guy. He's going to get this locker room to play hard. If he can get the right coordinators in place, this could go well, right? And we've all kind of rallied behind Raheem, and he seems like a good dude. And like I said, got the jogger pants on, the whole thing going on, whatever. And he hasn't gotten either coordinator hire right, and the vibes are at an all-time low in the locker room, and the guys don't look like they're playing hard. So we're not in a good place right now. We're being honest. We felt really good after the Josh Allen game on Monday Night Football a couple weeks ago, but
yeah,
dude, it's gone sour since then.
So, Mike, I don't want to yada yada past the game, but when you look at the trade deadline on Tuesday and where the Falcons sit right now, do you feel like this is the kind of game that could actually dictate what they might do at the trade deadline in terms of being a team that sells off pieces and maybe even sells off a skill player like Kyle Pitts? Or do you think that decision has already been made?
It's a good question. We actually had this conversation this morning right here in 92.9 A Game, and I am of the opinion, you need to go ahead and sell. Kyle Pitts, without Drake London in the lineup a week ago, had 9 catches on 9 targets. And course, Kirk Cousins in the game. Kyle Pitts is going to be a big part of the game plan. Guys, Kyle Pitts is on a 5th-year option. There's no way I would re-sign Kyle Pitts to this team. And you look at losing Kirk Cousins' contract next year. You guys know as well as I do, because you're in the same boat as far as the quarterback goes. You go into year 3 with that rookie contract with a quarterback like Michael Penix or Drake May in you guys' case, like the window has to be open, right? So, and you also know the Falcons traded away their first-round draft pick for next year because they wanted to draft James Pierce at 26 overall this year when it comes to draft. So I'm of the opinion, I don't think it's a Super Bowl caliber team as it sits. I don't think adding one piece to this team makes it a Super Bowl caliber team. So I would go ahead and sell. My co-host this morning completely disagrees. You know, hey, we need to develop some depth. If we can get a run plugger on defense, Jeff Olbricht's really turned that unit around. He's done some nice things. And, you know, so we'll see. But, yeah, I think if you got the right offer for the right piece, I would definitely make a move at this point. If I were the Falcons, they're sitting at 3-4. And even if they do somehow, you know, win, 7 more games and get to 10 wins, there's no guarantee that even gets them in the playoffs. So I'm not feeling the vibes real high right now, guys.
Yeah, you're probably looking at 2 teams from the NFC West. Perhaps it would be Niners and Rams. Yeah. And then a winner of the NFC South, 2 teams from the North, 1 from the East. So there's going to be 1 wild card spot available somewhere floating throughout the NFC. And what could be better to sort of like buoy the spirits of the Falcons, who are definitely feel and look like they should be better than a 3-4 team. But again, as Parcells used to always say, you are what your record says you are. As far as your defensive coordinator, noted Patriots hater, Jeff Olbrich, he said this week, quote, about Drake May, he's way better than I want him to be. He feels a lot like a younger Josh Allen. He's a problem. From your perspective, one, you guys have a great pass defense, but you guys are in the lower third in the NFL in running. We don't necessarily have vintage Sean Alexander, Priest Holmes, and and LaDainian Tomlinson to throw at you this week. So curious to see how you see the Patriots trying to attack the Falcons. And then from the Atlanta offensive perspective, is it going to just be Bijan left, Bijan right, and pray for somebody to be open on third down? Because the Pats haven't given up a 50-yard rusher this year.
Yeah, well, I'll approach it from the defensive angle first, and just to kind of get you guys up to speed on where things are at. So I mentioned earlier, I think Raheem Morris got both defensive coordinator hires wrong when they hired him a year ago. Now, he went ahead and got rid of one of those guys, which was Jimmy Lake. This defense has been much better. The way they approach the offseason, though, here in Atlanta is you lost really off the defensive line last year what was your 2 best interior run defenders. One of those was Grady Jarrett, who signed a contract in Chicago, longtime Falcon, and Eddie Goldman, who was like kind of your prototypical nose guard who's with the Commanders this year. They never really did anything to make it better at those spots, right? They ended up drafting 2 edge guys. They got a couple of rookies back in the secondary that they liked, and then they went in the 7th round and signed an offensive tackle. And then in free agency, they signed a middle linebacker named Divine Diablo. Now, Divine Diablo, first of all NFL name team, what an incredible name.
100%.
But Divine fractured his forearm against the 49ers a couple of weeks ago and has been out. Now, he has been phenomenal. But without him in the lineup, what you've seen is the exposure of not really doing anything to approach those defensive tackle positions that you lost in free agency. So you have this group of guys from the draft a couple of years ago, Ruka Rororo, Brandon Dorless. They're hit or miss. And what you did is Jeff Olbrich came in and he said, look, no more 4 down defensive lines. We're going to go 5 across the board and see if we can plug up the holes, which has been great until you have come up against good exterior blockers, teams that use tight ends, teams that use jumbo offensive linemen, teams that use fullback, and they're really attacking those exterior positions of this defense, and it has not gone well for the last couple of weeks. On the flip side, the offense, is it going to be Bijan left, Bijan right? It's worse than that. We have the simplest, and I'm trying not to overreact here because I have been going on a tirade for this for basically the last year, but it is.
This is a safe space, so
yeah,
let your feelings
it's okay.
go.
Yeah, let him out.
Woosah, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. We have the simplest run game in the history of run games. Charlie Warner is kind of our lone blocker outside the offensive line. Charlie Warner is a tight end, more of an H-back. He's kind of that cross between fullback. You'll see him go in motion. You'll see him insert into one of the gaps on the offensive front, and you'll see him attempt to block a linebacker or a defensive lineman. Bijan goes behind him. That's what they do. I mean, it is literally that simple. Wow. You run wide zone left, You run wide zone right. It's what Arthur Smith tried to do here when he drafted Bijan and a couple of our offensive line. And it's as boring as it gets. There's no counter off of it. They rarely ever run bootleg. I thought they would utilize more of Michael Penix's athleticism in the run game. I think he's got like maybe 5 carries this year. They don't even use him with the quarterback sneak. So to say it's been maddening offensively, guys, is just not doing it a ton of grace. There's been questions around here about Zach Robinson and his fit. And, look, on our station this week, Raheem Morris got asked if he's going to let Zach Robinson go at any point. And he said he still believes in him, but I'm going to raise my hand. I don't. I think that ship has sailed. It's just bad. It's just bad football.
Yeah, you got to ask that question, but what else is he going to say? Right. I'm giving him his papers this afternoon. But I wonder with Michael Penix, kind of like assuming that he's going to play. I know it's not out there yet, but it seems like at this point, it would be a surprise if he's not playing the way that he's practicing this week. As you said, you're surprised that they're not using his athleticism more. Do you feel like they have developed him in a smart way as the possible franchise quarterback? Because I think people were so high on him despite his injury history, and we don't get to see the Falcons that much up here in New England, but it seems like it's been a lot of starts and stops with him.
Yeah, it's and it's hard to tell, honestly, because you look at Michael Penix and Kirk Cousins came out of the gate slinging it last year. Kirk Cousins was, 2-time NFC Offensive Player of the Week, throws for 500 yards on a Thursday night against the Bucs, and everything's going well. And then it just fell off a cliff. And we still don't even really know why. I think a lot of things kind of revolve around, was Kirk Cousins healthy at all? Maybe he wasn't 100%, but also defenses started to kind of figure you out. This all goes back to the way Arthur Smith built this team. He signed, we offensive linemen making a ton of money. Our right guard makes $20 million a year, but he's 300 pounds. Like, he is built for wide zone. So I think when I looked at it, I'm like, okay, well, you drafted Michael Penix because you can still run wide zone. You can go very Kyle Shanahan-y with the wide zone, and you can really implement the bootleg, right? Or some zone read principles. And when you get in the red zone, you'll be able to use that. I think looking back on the draft, especially what Drake May's done the last couple of weeks, looking back on that draft from 2 years ago, I think the Falcons somehow wound up with the least athletic quarterback of all the quarterbacks that were drafted. Like, you look at Drake May, you look at Bo Nix, even J.J. McCarthy, as bad as he's been when he's been healthy, he can still run around a little bit. It's just not – it's crazy to me to look back and think, oh, man, they somehow wound up with the least athletic when they needed a guy to be an athlete. But also, you point to Zach Robinson. He's not really trying to utilize that. No bootlegs, I don't think, last week at all, for even when Kirk Cousins in the lineup. And it's just been an absolute mess. What you have is you have Arthur Smith's run game, and you have Zach Robinson's pass game, and they are not interwoven in the slightest bit. And unfortunately, it's led to some frustration.
Yeah, it's sort of like, well, you've got dad is handsome and wealthy, and mom is successful and beautiful. Everything should work out, but just, we got a Republican and a Democrat. We've got an atheist and a Christian. It's like, it's just not happening. Like, we're trying to force the issue here. We should just all go our separate ways and hit the reboot. Now, back to that Buffalo game real quick, Mike. I obviously we were rooting for the Falcons up this way because, it made a lot of sense to knock Buffalo down a peg, take first place, and the Pats have been riding high for a couple of weeks. But the freaking offense was so boring to watch. Like, Michael Penix was really fun to watch at Washington because you had McMillan, Jalen Polk before he became the ghost of Jalen Polk, and Rome Odunze just flying all over the field. And he was, slinging the ball all over, using his athleticism to his benefit. Now it's just him in the pistol. He looks around, claps his hands, takes the ball, and either does a fake handoff to Bijan and throws an 8-yard slant, or gives the ball to Bijan. It was like I just watched Falcons highlights to go to bed that night as opposed to chewing on a gummy because it helped me sleep. It's so freaking boring. Like, I feel your pain, and I feel like to hold on against the Pats on Sunday, they may have to overcommit to the run. Will that open up things in the passing game for the Patriots, or should the Patriots just stick to ground and pound and not worry about padding Drake's stats, if you will?
and good Lord, you hit the nail on the head. Look, I'm a Bama grad as well, so I watched Kalen DeBoer highlights that whole offseason leading up to that draft. I was like, oh, this Kalen DeBoer offense is a lot of fun.
Yeah,
he's gonna spin it, throw it all around. He's got weapons everywhere.
Yep.
And so knowing what it's probably supposed to look like when Michael Penix is doing it right has been frustrating. I think what you're going to see, first of all, you're going to want to know the name JD Bertrand. I just mentioned Divine Diablo has been out with an injury. JD Bertrand is a second-year linebacker. He came out of Notre Dame. He is a very headsy player, but it's very evident watching tape that JD Bertrand is not a guy that you want to lean on defense. As a matter of fact, the Dolphins just straight up picked on him. Devon Achane in the pass game and the run game, doing a bunch of different things, trying to find JD Bertrand on the field. The Falcons ended up backing another linebacker off the ball, kind of creating a 5-2 front, if you will, and just trying to cover up JD Bertrand as much as he could. Guys, it looked like he was in quicksand. I mean, it's 3 seconds after the snap. He still hasn't moved. He's still trying to figure out where the ball's going and doing different things. So if I were New England, and I love the combination of rookies they have on the left side of that offensive line. Obviously, they're SEC players, which we paid a lot of attention to down here. I would ground and pound. I don't think that Atlanta has found a way to stop the run. As a matter of fact, you go back to the Buffalo game, you look at the third quarter, James Cook was going ham in the third quarter against this run defense until they got to a point where they had to throw the ball. Kyle Shanahan absolutely tears us up in the run game. And then you saw it with Mike McDaniel again last week, where he essentially on the fly recreates that offense, puts an extra lineman in there. Darren Waller's on IR, so he's like, well, we got to find somebody else to block. And then they recreate that on the fly. So there's really not a lot of reason to pad Drake May's stats, in my opinion. They're probably going to try to run the ball. They try to run it left, gap scheme, zone scheme, whatever they want to do. They will probably find some measure of success this weekend when they take on this Falcons D.
Well, Mike, in an alternate universe, you're also, setting up interviews on your station with Bill Belichick if things had gone a different way. So, there's.
You missed a real good time there.
Guys, and that's honestly, that's an ongoing argument down here, which is crazy to me. People are like, should I hire Belichick? I'm like, have you seen what's been going on at North Carolina? As a matter of fact, I think there has been 15 other opportunities for him to be hired, and nobody else has done it either. So, it is what it is. I don't know what the future holds for Raheem. I don't know what the future holds for Bill Belichick, but I personally, you guys know this, being in sports media, it's like, I think my lucky stars that I'm not having to deal with that on a personal level. But it's very interesting. It's really interesting to cover and look at those storylines. As a matter of fact, we obviously, and I appreciate you guys not bringing this up yet, but just 2 or 3 months ago, his girlfriend was wearing a 28-3 Patriots Falcons Super Bowl shirt, and I was like, we went on a tear the next day. We're like, this chick lost her mind. But yeah, he has no friends left in the city of Atlanta from where I'm sitting. I can tell you that.
Yeah, he didn't have a lot left after February 2017 as well. In the first place, and it was not Bill Belichick that orchestrated the burning of Atlanta that night. That was Tom Brady with the all-time second half, the all-time basically 17 minutes plus overtime that any NFL quarterback has ever played. And I'd put that up against some of his and any other NFL legends' performances as well. And yeah, I call Jordan Princess Sparkle Pants. I have no idea what she's doing on the sideline. She has no business being anywhere near the field. But as you can tell, obviously things are going super well for him. In UNC. Hey, karma can be a beast sometimes. Anyway, on that note, let's wrap this up. Let's get to our predictions. Mike, you are our esteemed guest here on Six Rings and Football Things. And yes, audience, by the way, on this spooky Halloween edition, I do understand that now we may actually have to change the name of the podcast one day in the near future because that was the big joke the last couple of years. Like, good thing you got 6 rings. It's never going to be 7 rings there, fella. Well, things are looking a little better for the Pats these days.
Yeah.
What do you got for a score on Sunday, my guy?
I look, we all know that any given Sunday, anything can happen in the NFL. The Falcon guy in me and the guy that covers his team I've seen this team have some nice days. They looked good against the Vikings on Sunday Night Football like week 2. We didn't see that coming. Pass rush gets home with like 6 sacks, whatever it may be.
Oh yeah.
I think the blueprint for this team is to somehow, because they've been actually good against quarterback runs this year, is somehow to be able to stop Drake May from running the ball, which I know he's had 50-plus the last couple of weeks. I think that if you can do that and bottle them up, things turn out well. Look, this spread's, 5.5, something along those lines. The way that the Falcons have played offensively, it has been downright anemic, and it seems ludicrous when you look at Bijan and some of the other weapons they have that they could be held down that bad. I would predict that New England's probably going to win this game. I think that in Falcons world, we would feel really good if it comes down to a one-score game. I think that's where we're kind of at, unfortunately, in this phase of the season. Now, you do get Michael Penix back. Like you said, it's not official, but I think he's coming back. Drake London looks like he's back in the fold. We have a couple of other defensive pieces, Zach Harrison, Billy Bowman, guys like that should be back in the fold. So maybe you round into form. But, I think if the defense can make it messy, somehow rush the passer, stop the quarterback run game, you can make it messy, hold them to a couple of touchdowns. Maybe you can scratch it out. But the Falcons have a lot of growing to do, and I'd be really hard pressed. As much as a Falcons homer as I am, I'd be really hard pressed to get on here and pick them to win this football game. I don't see where the roadmap actually is.
Right on. That seems like it's on brand with your frustrations of the past 20 minutes or so. I see it going down a little differently. Mego, what do you got?
Okay, I got Patriots 26, Falcons 20. I think that
It's a game and a cover.
I do think that the Patriots, we keep talking about this stat of not giving up 50 yards to any running back on an opposing team. I think with Bijan out there, maybe this is the game that finally breaks in week 9. You can't get too mad at it. But I do think that it's just overall like another maybe a little more similar to what the Patriots did against the Saints, but in reverse, where they only scored 3 points in the second half of that game. I could see them getting out to a little bit of a slow start, a little bit like we saw last week, and then taking over in the second half again.
Yeah, I last week we thought, okay, this will be the week that Drake ends his INT streak. It was bad. Schwessinger jumps up and picks off a ball over the middle.
It's a good play.
That's a good play. That's a really good player as well. Our guest last week from 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland said, watch out for that kid. I bet he makes a play. There he is, first quarter with a pick as well. And you gave us great intel on the players who could, should, or would have been playmakers depending on injury health, Mike. I see this is the week finally they give up a 50-yard. They just haven't dealt with his kind of speed, his level of talent, and the Pats defense is largely healthy. Nobody on the injury report this week, so they'll be at full cap on Sunday. But like he's the reliance. Otherwise, I mean, you can lock up Drake mostly with Christian Gonzalez. You can throw some bodies at Kyle Pitts. You have to get him going, and I've seen enough of those incredibly sexy NFL Instagram overhead highlights of Bijan Robinson running around like Walter Payton and Tecmo Bowl to know, like, get him the ball in space and he is a handful and then some. That is an escaped caffeinated toddler at the mall, and good luck to you getting after him as well. So I see it being closer. I got Patriots 23, Falcons 20. All you got to do is get the dub. Let the Falcons test you. And I've loved this little streak, Mike, where last week you play the best defense in the NFL. It rains touchdowns in the second half. This week you play a team that really needs the win and is better than their previous week's effort. So I see them going toe-to-toe. And then next week we'll try to take one for you at Pirate Ship in the End Zone Stadium.
Yeah, I think both those scores you guys just gave out, Falcons fans would probably rejoice just to have a game that felt that close in the end and actually felt like you could go out and get it. Hey, if you guys don't mind, I'd like to ask you one question before we leave, because we were kind of kicking this around today.
Oh, hell yeah.
You guys rank 6.6 yards per pass is 25th in the NFL. What's going on with the pass defense? Because I think when we look at it, Drake London was not in the fold last week. Even when you played Buffalo, Drake London was targeted 16 times against Buffalo with Michael Penix. It's like his only read. He either has plays designed for Bijan, designed for Kyle Pitts, or he's reading the defense and he's going to Drake. What's going on with the pass defense, or is it just simply a matter of we've committed a lot of people to the run, we've been ahead in some of these games, and it's gotten behind us?
Mego?
So I can take this. Expect a score on your first drive. That is something that the
I don't expect that. I don't expect that.
You should.
But that's what every first drive.
6 out of 8 games. So
Yep.
the defense, for whatever reason, they're trying to figure it out. They do give up some really big chunk plays in terms of the passing game. And it's kind of a surprise. It looks like in points coverage busts, especially with some of the safety play, unfortunately, because that's something that the Patriots have just kind of taken for granted, or at least us in the media, of seeing that at different points over the last couple of seasons, even when they weren't a great team. So I think that number is maybe like the average is a little inflated by some of those big plays that they give up, and they give them up to guys like Gabriel last week, where it's like you wouldn't expect that, but there it is.
Yeah.
And it feels like I don't have the stats in front of me, but there's at least 1 or 2 of those a game. We're talking significant plays. And so
Yeah.
I would say that's probably what you're looking at with the passing defense.
I love it, man. It's
Yeah. And
it's
also,
funny you guys bring up the safeties because we are very familiar down here with Jalen Hawkins and Richie Grant. And so when I saw those I was like, interesting. Those are both ex-Falcons that I don't think anybody would have wanted back down here, but they seem to be playing at least decent for you guys up there. So
it's always something when someone else takes someone's trash and turns it into a treasure as well. And I got to say, the job that Vrabel and John Stryker and Ryden Cowden and whatever Elliot Wolf does whenever he's let out of the locker that Vrabel stuffs him in every week. They've done they've identified their guys. They have their system in place, and they cut away. It wasn't even like loose parts or fat around the belly of all the previous leaders and all the other captains. Like, they have established a new culture, and it's working and it's winning around here. And I just want to add to what Mego said. Everybody scores first drive on the Patriots. It's like Ozzy Osbourne being played at the tailgate, shitty traffic, and people drinking Dunkin' Donuts. You can count on all of those things on Sunday outside Gillette, Mike. And
man, listen, I would love to challenge y'all to a bet, but I won't do that right now. I don't want any bad vibes.
And also, those first couple weeks, Gonzalez wasn't there. They gave up a ton of Geno Smith threw for 360. Like, those skewed the stats on the long haul. They've gotten a little bit better. And a name I'll throw back at you to look out for as well. Marcus Jones, who just signed a 3-year, $36 million extension. He's not just the most dynamic punt returner in the NFL. Dude can ball. He hits hard for a guy who's 5'9", $185, carrying 2 phone books. He's great in coverage as well, underrated in coverage, and just has a nose for making big plays. So if Penix gets a little carefree with the ball on Sunday, watch out for him to make a play. And listen, thanks for way more time than we anticipated. This has been an awesome chat. Great to, we knew of you in the NFL, didn't know that you were down there doing the morning show on 92.9 The Game. I hope you have a good one to talk about on Monday, just like we do on WEEI as well. And if you guys want to keep in touch with Mike's Falcons frustrations and more, give him a follow at MP Johnson 79, 6 to 9 every morning on 92.9 The Game down in the ATL. Thanks, brother. It's been an absolute blast. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you guys. We'll catch up soon.
All righty. And that'll do for the latest 6 Rings and football things, brought to you by WEEI Odyssey and 2400 Sports. Have a great weekend, everybody. Happy Halloween. Beware, I've heard people are handing out Jets tickets in the area, so make sure the parents check out all the kids' candy bags. It's one